Hi everyone, it's Steve Ockdale here, Director of SMA Digital. And in this video, I'm going to take you through our quiz magnet content template. In other words, step by step, how to fill in a template that we have to help us make creating your own quiz, questions, answers, call to actions, and everything else a lot easier. So let's get started and have a look at the PDF document that we have for you to download, which is on our website. So we've got here the PDF document. You can see the first page is a quick introduction to using this template, a little bit about what this is all about. And if you get stuck at any point, you can always ask us, book a quick call with us, or you can go onto our website, smadigital.co.uk, and you can chat with us live right away if you have any questions as well. So this document is a PDF ultimately for you to be able to fill in as much as possible to give us a decent draft to ultimately review and give you some feedback for your questions and answers before we go ahead and turn it into the digital version. Once we have a more or less a first draft of this document filled in, saved, all you need to do is send it through to us, and I'll talk a little bit more about this at the end. Send it through to us, we'll give some feedback, maybe go back or revise a couple of things. Otherwise, we'll turn it into the digital version, the interactive version, so you can then have a look at it, how it looks like with your logo and colours, and we can go from there and possibly sort of make extra revisions from then on. Okay, so this document, more or less fill in as much as you can. It doesn't all need to be filled in. This is more or less just a starting sort of point of guide. If you have particular things that you want done on the quiz, let us know, and I'm sure we can accommodate them. We can pretty much do anything with quizzes these days, so let us know. Keep any questions or answers as short as possible. Remember, people won't read every word. And remember, it doesn't need to be perfect. Think the 80-20 Pareto law, which is 20% of the effort will give you 80% of the outcome. So just sort of crack on and get going. Obviously on this content, we've got the contents here on this document. Pre-work, working out the aim of your quiz magnet before you get started. It's really important to understand exactly who you're talking to and the type of language you're going to be using so that you're talking to the right avatar of your ideal client, your ideal prospects, of who you're trying to talk to. So take a moment. You don't need to necessarily answer this on the document. You can just write this in a notebook or wherever it might be, or even just think about the answers. Ultimately, think about what are you trying to achieve with this quiz magnet and why. Is this a lead generator? Will you be posting it online, giving it out? And ultimately, who is the ideal audience that you're writing this quiz for? Okay, the first part, point number one, is your quiz style. Now, we have two different types of quizzes, sort of styles. The first one here is a single click answer. And this is where you can go around and click on one answer and go to the next and next, and I'll show you that in a second. And then we have the now and desired bars, which have these extra bars at the bottom, which you can have scales of 1 to 12 or 1 to 10, whatever it might be. And it's a little bit more complex in terms of being able to figure out higher sort of number bases and different results that way. This one is probably our most popular single click, just because it's much easier for somebody to fill out, and if you don't have the desire to have a really complicated quiz, and this is great. If you wanted a bit more sort of diagnostic sort of style type tool, then this one is really good for that. So let's have a look at the two different ones. The first one here is obviously the single click answer. And I've got a couple of examples here. One here is from Speaker Insight. They call it the Expert Indicator, which is a really cool quiz that you go through and you get to figure out how much of an expert you are and which areas you want to sort of improve on. So we've got here visibility is a headline as a question. And you can see with all our quizzes, we then have kind of 4 or 5, generally 4 different options where somebody can read through each of these and self-identify which of these they relate to the most. Generally speaking, it's all the way from really struggling, such as visibility, when it comes to a business owner, people in your industry haven't heard of you, all the way through to you are known in the industry as the go-to person for your expertise and insights. So you can see here right away, it's got to do with expertise and being an expert indicator, and you can select which one is most appropriate to you, select which one, click on to next, and it'll go to the next question, which in this case is marketing. You can continue along and get the answers. It's the same as all of our ones like this. This is one by Shah. How much freedom do you really have And so this is, again, the question will be up here, such as how hard do you feel you work right now? The very left, which is where somebody or potential client or a prospect is really struggling, such as I can't imagine working harder, and sometimes question if it's worth it, all the way through to the really good side of things that they can help you with, which is I do work I love when I choose on my terms, and it goes on from there. The other type of quiz that we have, and I'll just go back here. So the other type is the now and desired bars. Like I said, it's more sort of diagnostic, and it can give you some better answers. So let's have a quick look at a couple. One here is from the Coaching Academy. Do you have what it takes to become a life coach? So this is, you get to go through and you get to figure out how willing or how able are you to become a life coach. So the first question, do you find it easy to build rapport? Again, you've got your 4 columns of answers that people get to read, all the way from struggling, such as I find it difficult to get on with people right away, all the way through to I find people are drawn to me and want to confide in me. At the bottom here, you get to then rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 12. So this is how would you rate yourself today? Right now, you might be frustrated. You might say you're about a 4, but ultimately, you really do want to become a game changer. And in that case, in 12 months' time, you would love to be like a 10 or 11 or even a 12. So you can put your answer in there and click on to next, and it'll go through the answers. It's the same as this one here, for example, Kelly Teasdale, test your business marketing superpowers. So she's got 8 different sections that she's broken it up into, from content creation, PR, digital marketing, analytics, and more. And each question is around the 8 sort of areas that she identifies within her business, what she helps you with. And again, she's got the 2 slider bars. Where are you today on a scale of 1 to 12? And ideally, where would you like to be in 12 months' time in your business or in your life? Okay, so that's the 2 different types of examples. Literally just tick which one you prefer here. Go down. The next stage, number 2, is your title or quiz magnet headline. So the headline of your quiz. Now, a good quiz is ultimately made up of 2 different things. One is the actual practical information, kind of describing what the quiz is actually about. And the second part is trying to draw out an emotional response. As it says here, helping prospects feel the need to fill it in. In other words, they really want to fill it in because they want to find out something about themselves. So we've got 2 good examples here of quizzes that have been doing really well in terms of conversion rates and also number of leads they have. The Coaching Academy sits at around sort of 30% conversion rate, which is really quite high and really quite successful, and that leads people into their coaching courses. So there's, like I said before, is do you have what it takes to become a life coach? So that explains not only about the life coach, but it's asking you an emotional question like, do you have actually what it takes? And you get to find out at the end, yes or no, and how sort of likely that is. And the other one is obviously First Aid for Life, who have done exceptionally well. They've been with us the longest though. And they've produced over 18,000 leads on this one. And this is more or less like a headline and a question all in one. So they kind of break it up into 2 parts. One is the first one here, which is discover how confident you are. Discover how confident you are should an accident happen. If I can spit that out properly. So that's like a very emotional sort of part in terms of discovering how confident you are. And then do you have the skills, knowledge, and confidence to help? So their quiz is all around having confidence to help in a first aid situation, such as if somebody's hit by a car or whatever it might be, can you go over and help that person? So it's kind of got that combination of knowing it's around first aid, but ultimately their product is to help people become confident in a first aid situation. So that's what they've really driven the headline around. We recommend, this is where you can now put your headline in here, your headline text in here. And we recommend really spending, this is probably the biggest amount of time that you would do, or ask other people for their advice and their feedback as well, because this is ultimately what's going to drive the whole quiz and get people to want to fill it in, which is ultimately what you ideally would like as a lead magnet. Step number 3, once you have your headline, this is where the core content of your quiz comes in, and this is your questions and answers. Now, again, as we said, there's sort of the way we do it is you have like either a subject line or a question at the very top, like it says here, visibility, and then you got your 4 different sort of answers underneath. If we go down and look at the grid, this is how it works. So we've got here the question, and let's say, for example, let's just say you are running a yoga studio or a yoga business, and some of the things that you've identified that you sort of help people with, or that people are asking questions around, or that ultimately is the benefits and the results in your business. Say one of them is around helping people to get up out of bed in the morning and really sort of spring out of bed and get going for the day. So the question might be something around like, how easy do you find getting out of bed? Okay, we've got a question here. Then we can have an optional section here, very much optional, it's up to you, which can be a group or category. And now this is if I want to do, say, 10 questions and have 5 categories, so 2 questions per category. This is particularly relevant if, for example, with this one here even actually, Kelly Teasdale, she's broken up her business and the way that she helps people into 8 different sections. Now, some people, it might be less than that, some people might be more. So say if you have, say 5 sections, then if I go back to here, this might be broken up into, okay, getting out of bed is the one thing, so that's like waking up. I might actually have 2 questions around waking up. And ultimately, I want to score someone about how they're doing in waking up. You don't have to have these groups or categories, so you can just leave them as is and just have the questions if this is okay for you. Once you have these, and I'll leave this in for now, just so you can see, waking up, and we'll go waking up. And that would be question 2. Once you got the question, you then here, under struggling and then game changing, you want to fill in the most extremes of this. So how easy do you find getting out of bed? And when you fill in these sort of boxes, you want it to be in sort of current or past tense in terms of, or basically pick a tense and run with it the whole time. But we recommend using either I or I am, so that someone can identify, well, I am blah, 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 or you can use you or your and choose one of the other and do that. So I am blah, 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 or you are da, da, da. So how easy do you find to get out of bed? If you're struggling, this is extreme, like I hate it. I just can't do it, sort of thing. All the way through to a game changer, which is ultimately more or less where you can help somebody with. And this is where they would ideally want to be if they were working with you. So in the case of this yoga studio, how easy do you find out of bed? I spring out of bed with lots of energy, ready for the day. Notice that these are really quite short. You really do want these to be as short as possible in terms of probably 1 sentence is ideal. If it's 2 sentences, you really want it to be short sentences, but try to keep it as short as possible. I recommend doing the outside ones first, 0 to 25 and then 76 to 100%, so the 2 extremes are where somebody could be, and then filling in the middle ones afterwards. It makes it a lot easier because you've already got this sort of extremes. This is now like a little bit less than that, so I hate I can't do it. How easy to find to get out of bed? This one might be around I struggle some days, but other days I'm doing okay. Successful, 51 to 75% means there I get out of bed, I feel okay, sort of thing. Whereas obviously game changer is ultimately they feel amazing getting out of bed. So that's an example. Go through and put your questions down on here in the grid. There's 2 pages here. You can have up to 12 questions. We recommend generally 7 to 8. And again, keep it as short as possible. Now, section number 4, once you've got your content in place, this is your overall results content in terms of what might show up on a final page or in their PDF report in terms of text according to their particular score. So in this example, your score is 48%, and this is text around being frustrated, and this is very specific text that will show up only if you get between 26 to 50%, which is in here. So you can go down here, you can see we've broken that up into the 4 categories again. Final score is based within, if you're really struggling, you could say something in here. Sorry to hear you are struggling so much, etc., whatever it might be what you want to say. Frustrated, successful, all the way through to if they're doing really well. Sometimes if they're doing really well, it might not always be your ideal type of client, but maybe it's a case of, and something that Speaker Insight do really well is, hey, great to hear that you're doing super well. You know, if you want reinforcements in what we can help you with, love to chat with you. Otherwise, we'd love to hear more about how you're doing it so we can interview you and share your results with our audience or whatever it might be. But basically here is your different text that will show up for each category of score. If we scroll down, this is now number 5, an optional section, and this is if you want it to be a lot more sort of detailed. And this can either be sort of detailed from the start, so you can do it from the very start, or you can always add this on later as well once you sort of get those initial questions in and those answers, and you can sort of get some feedback from users filling it in. So this is more or less a score breakdown, again into the 4 questions, 0 to 25, 26 to 50, 51 to 75, 76 to 100, but this is according to each question or particular group. And what I mean by that is, in this example, we've got focus strategies 6%. So this is showing up text for a specific question or grouping around this particular area of focus strategy, and this is the text that's showing up. If I scroll down to here, you can see here you've got your group or question here. So this might be the very first question that I asked about, which was around over at the top here. I could copy this question exactly how it is, or I might do it around a particular category if you're doing, again, say 5 categories with 10 questions. So I would then go down to here. If I put that into here, waking up, then I could do a very specific answer around waking up. You're really struggling to get out of bed, this is what you could do about it, all the way through to great to hear that you're getting out of bed easily. Always a good thing to help you with today, or whatever it might be. Again, this is optional, and you can go through and you can put in all your text in here. Okay, next, your call to actions or next steps. So what this is basically what people do, or what you want them to do after they fill in your quiz. Sometimes as a coach or a consultant, quite often wanting to lead them into like a webinar, which works quite well. Sometimes it might be into a physical course that you're running. Sometimes it's just literally just giving away more freebies to them and going, hey, thanks for filling this in. You know, as they say here, like download the Insight Tracker, and we'll give you some more content, and then drip feed them from there and nurture them. Others, it's more like, hey, click here and you can fill in a link for our calendar, and you can book an appointment with myself for a free 20-minute call or a discovery session or whatever it might be. And so this is where that goes in, and you can do it in 2 different ways and choose one or the other. The first is everyone can go to the same thing, and this is if you just want to keep it simple and test the waters to begin with, such as a calendar invitation page, and you can put some text here to sort of intro it and let them know about the benefits of having a call with you. Or if you're wanting to do it based on their overall score, you'd put it into these boxes here. So again, if they're struggling and they've ended up overall 0 to 25%, then you can talk about a particular call to action for them. Or if they're doing really well, it could be a particular other type of call to action. So for example, some particular clients who might be just really too far gone for you to work with, you might send them through to like an online resource or an online course that you might have. Or people who are sort of frustrated or the beginning parts of successful, etc. These might be the ones that you want to go and talk to and have a call with and spend your time with a bit longer. And then these people, game changers, maybe these are the ones who you ultimately want to interview and get their insights, whatever it might be. It can be literally anything. So that's your call to actions. And the final part of this content template for your quiz magnet is the technical requirements. Now, fill in as much of this as possible. You don't have to fill it all in. It's quite simple when you look at it, when you go through it. Ultimately, to begin with, this is the name that you want people to receive their notification from. So generally, this is your name, or it could be your business name. So just put that in here. So in my case, it might be Steve Ockertal. I want email address. Okay, I want steve at smadigital.co.uk. It could be, team at yourdomain.co.uk or whatever it might be, or .com. Do you have branding guidelines? If you do, just tick that one and then attach that. From my website, I don't know why that just popped up in this example, but or if it's just from your website that we're going to get the branding guidelines from, put that into here in terms of your website address, mydomain.com, whatever that might be. Do you have a CRM or mailing list program? If so, put in the details into here. It could just be if you have, for example, ActiveCampaign or MailChimp. If you have any of these and you can find what they call an API number, which is generally within the settings somewhere on your program, try to put that in here. Otherwise, we can talk you through this with you. If you just want to list down, like if you have Infusionsoft or Salesforce, just list that in here. And if you can't find the details, don't worry. Then finally, second last thing is, do you have any tracking codes? This is things like a Facebook Pixel or a Google Analytics. If you don't know how to find your Facebook Pixel, it's in your business account. If you have one in Facebook, there's loads of videos if you just Google how to find it. Same with Google Analytics, just put those codes in here. Otherwise, we can, generally speaking, if you have this hooked up to your website, we can find it for you anyway. So lots of flexibility there. And then finally, choose your preferred domain name. Now, this is ultimately where your quiz is going to be hosted at the end. Now, it's hosted on our service, but we can choose different domain name options so that people can find it. A good example here, so by default, is smadigital.app/your name or your quiz name, and you can select that if you wish. Now, only select one of these, please. You could also have your name or your quiz name this is short for quizmagnets.com if you preferred that. We can also set you up with your own custom domain name, and this can be a .com or a .co.uk or whatever it might be. So it might be your quiz name.co.uk or .com, and you can click that here. And if you want that here, put in your desired domain name over here so we know what to look for. Or finally, if you do want a subdomain of your own current website address, that is possible. You can tick that one here. Just note that it will take a little bit longer to set up, and there's a few more complexities around that in terms of the SSL, which is the little sort of padlock thing, just because you have the control of your domain name. So you generally have to sort of work with your hosting provider or your domain name provider to make this sort of happen, and we've got to change a few things around to make it happen. So that's all the different options. Again, once you complete, and remember the 80-20 principle, send it through to ready@smadigital.co.uk. We'll provide some initial feedback on it. Again, that's ready@smadigital.co.uk. It'll show you that at the bottom of your PDF template. Send it through. Of course, make sure you do go file and save the actual document so that so that you have the updated versions on here with your answers, and then we'll go from there. Once we receive that, and once we receive we go back and forth maybe once or twice with a bit of feedback, we'll then go ahead and create the digital version, which is the interactive version that I showed you some examples of earlier. Hope that makes a lot of sense. If you're watching this video and you haven't ordered a quiz magnet yet, make sure you do ASAP so you can get going with your template. Shoot me an email if you have any questions, steve@smadigital.co.uk. Otherwise, I look forward to working with you on your quiz, and thanks for listening. Bye for now.